Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to each one of you for the today's inspiring session, Bridging the Mindset Gap: How I Climbed My Everest, organized by the Committee for Members in Practice of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Today's webinar is not just another session, it's a reflection, an awakening, a journey into resilience, attitude, and the power of positive mindset that can move mountains, or in today's word, climb your own Everest. We are delighted to have us with our eminent speakers, our chairman of the committee of the Institute today, who have always guided us with the vision, dedication, and inspiration. To begin the proceedings, I now invite our visionary leader, CA Madhukar Narayan Hirgange, the chairman of the Committee for Members in Practice, to deliver the welcome address and the opening remarks. CA Madhukar Hirgange is a name synonymous with vision, leadership, and ethical practice. With over 37 years of illustrious professional experience, he has authored 37 books including 12 on GST, and has been a guided light in the field of indirect taxation. Beyond his professional excellence, he is a true humanitarian, supporting over 5,000 underprivileged students through various charitable initiatives. As a Central Council member of ICA, he has been an forefront of initiatives in student education, capacity building, and empowering small and medium practitioners. His life and work truly embody the very spirit of today's theme, bridging the mindset gap: How I Climbed My Everest. Let us warmly welcome CA Madhukar Narayan Hirgange, sir. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Priyanshu, for a wonderful introduction, I would say. Anyway, I am only a joint author of 37 books. Most of the latter books have been written by my joint author only. I have only contributed a bit to the index and a bit on a couple of chapters, I would say. So the real achievement is bringing out 20 other authors now who are going on their own steam. This year in the CMP, we are planning to do a couple of things, and we have done a couple of things. But I would like to listen to Rupa now, since her topic is something which I also did. I may not have climbed as much as her, but I've also climbed a bit. So let's hear how Rupa climbed her Everest. Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Priyanshu.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and inspiring words. So, we are having the first, our one and only speaker of the day, uh, C. Rupa Venkatesh Madam. And C. Rupa Venkatesh Madam is a unique blend of chartered accountant, qualified HR expert, certified ISO auditor, accomplished author, and dynamic speaker. Prior to co founding T8 International, she had senior management positions across the diverse industries, leading functions that bridged finance people and purpose. And HR consultant, she helps organization design and implement effective HR processes across all over the pan India, while nurturing talent and leadership. She is a celebrated author, having written thought provoking books such as Success Achievements, Living an Inspired Life, Management Principles from Indian Epics, a remarkable Cancer, a comma, not a full stop, stands a beacon of hope and strength for cancer survivors and their families. With all proceeds going toward cancer awareness and charity, she has also been featured in a Limca Book of Records for authoring, directing, staging a play on cancer, performed entirely by the cancer survivors. Her latest book, Delivered, is an inspiring and heartfelt account on liver health and transplantation survival, highlighting resilience and the will to live. A globally travel speaker, she has presented papers at international forums on Indian management principles and inclusivity at the workplace. Now based at Mysore, she devotes her time to writing, training, and speaking, inspiring countless lives through her words and work. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the eminent speaker of today's webinar, CA Rupa Venkatesh, madam. Madam, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madhukar, for giving me this opportunity and always being so supportive of whatever journey I have been through. And thank you, Priyanshu, for being the contact and helping me to kind of get to this position. Uh, I I sometimes think what I am going to talk to you today, though I wish I could see all your faces, but I know it's not possible. But I'm thinking that you are thinking. After all, what can one person teach another? What I have to say is not rocket science. It is not something which will transform your lives all of a sudden. But I am hoping that whatever I share with you today will help you to understand that at the fundamental level, we actually are all the same. We, we have the same fears, we face the same challenges, we have the same obstacles, and we all have the same desires. So, in that sense, we are all the same. So, each of us use a different technique to address those. I'm going to share with you what I have experienced. The entire presentation is going to be, I'm going to be sharing my screen. I don't know whether, is my screen share working yet? No. Okay, let me share my screen first. Okay. Is that full screen now?
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Great. How I climbed my Everest. Now, I'm not coming here as an expert in mountaineering, though I have done just a little bit in my lifetime. I love mountaineering, but for whatever reasons, I've not been able to do as much as I'd like. So, why did I bring this analogy? I'm planning to talk to you of some of my health challenges using three pillars. One pillar is, of course, mountaineering. I'm trying to build a parallel between my experience and mountaineering, climbing a mountain. And the second pillar is the medical section, which is what I went through. This was my experience. And the third pillar is how it is applicable to business. When I say business, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you are a self employed practicing chartered accountant or you are an entrepreneur with your own company. Though management books will tell us that being self-employed and being an entrepreneur are two different things. Yes, they are. Yet, at a very, should I say, fundamental level, they are essentially the same. Even an entrepreneur wants to build his organization. So does a practicing chartered accountant. An entrepreneur wants to make profits, ethical profits. So does a chartered accountant. An entrepreneur has to manage people, their dreams, their aspirations, their growth. So does a chartered accountant. So, in that sense, yes, a chartered accountant who's practicing or is employed, to some extent, he or she is an entrepreneur. And as I used to be an entrepreneur before, I'm bringing in a business leader's perspective. I'm not saying that I was a great business leader. I'm saying I was leading a business. I thought I was doing reasonably well. So let me share with you my journey so far, the before scene, as I call it. Before I was diagnosed with cancer, the before scene was quite nice. I was an entrepreneur. I was running a successful software products and services company. We had just signed our first $1 million client. Of course, we were all very happy. On the family side, everything was okay. Husband had a good job. Son was doing well. Everything seemed to be quite okay. That's how most of our lives at any point of time will be. On the finance side, everything was set. No, I was not very rich, but I thought I will get to be very rich because business was doing good, everything else was doing good. So everything is in its place, everything will be in its place. This was the scenario. Smooth sailing. Then I decided to climb the mountain, the ascent, the climbing. Now, many of you, if you have been through to a mountaineering session, whether it's a small mountain, whether you have actually gone to the Himalayas, you normally have something called a base camp. That is the place at which we all assemble. That's called the base camp. That is as far as the mountaineering is concerned. As far as the medical thing is concerned, for me, it was the diagnosis. The diagnosis that I had stage 3 breast cancer. Now, taking this diagnosis was not easy. Much as I can say that I'm a very positive person, I'm very upbeat about life. I can't say I was jumping with joy when they told me this. I was very upset. But yes, I was putting on a brave front, went home, and my son, who at that time was only 14 years old, he asked me, why are you so upset? So I started to cry. You know how it is. You can bottle things up. When somebody whom you love actually asks you something, the dam breaks. That's exactly what happened. So I started to cry and I told him I have got cancer. And he then said something which I till this day haven't forgotten. He said, what else did the doctor say? More to pacify him than it was the truth. I told him, oh, the doctor said that if I take my medicine, I should be okay. So he said, fine, then you take the medicine, you will be okay. How matter of fact. It was like being beaten on the face with a dead fish. But then after some time, I realized, isn't that what it all is? So the kind of the drama which I expected, and I wanted, we're all human beings. We all want some drama in our lives. And that is exactly, I think I was expecting, but that didn't happen. But then I realized that if I understood the perspective right, it is not such a big deal. So that is the medical pillar, if you will. Let us look at a business scenario. When you're about to start your business, even if it is the business of being in practice, the diagnosis is most important. What kind of practice do I want to do? It may dawn on you suddenly. People may say, oh, why don't you do this practice? And suddenly you are there, oh, I don't want to do tax practice because I'm not very comfortable. Or I want to do statutory audits, but I'm so small, who will employ me? Yes, there is a lot of dilemma when you are at the base camp, you haven't started anything. Okay. Then will come, if you were actually going on mountaineering, they will acclimatize you to the altitude. Now, in real life, yes, it is very important. For those of you who have gone to Leh and Ladakh, I'm sure you will understand this. 2 days or 3 days, you have to stay in that rarefied atmosphere because there is less oxygen. So you have to get used to the rarefied atmosphere. And only then your lungs and your brain will be able to function properly. In terms of my medical condition, what did it mean? I had to be emotionally and physically prepared. Emotionally, it was quite tough because the minute somebody gives you the diagnosis, first thing you think was, oh God, I'm going to die. I have not written my will. You won't believe this is, I'm actually being very confessional. And I'm telling you that the first thought which came to my head was, God, I have not written my will. What will happen to my son? What will happen to my husband? These are the assumption is that because I have a disease, I'm going to die. So we need to emotionally prepare, physically prepare. Physically, I had to prepare myself for what I knew was going to come. I had not experienced it before, but I had seen it because my older sister also suffered from the same disease. So I was emotionally very distraught, but then I had to prepare myself. Let's look at a business angle. When you start your practice, emotionally, it's going to be challenging. I know many of you may think, what has got emotion got to do with business? But the truth is, if you put your hand on your heart, you will realize the day you want to start practice, there will be someone who will say, are you sure? Isn't employment easier? Don't you want to have a secure income? So you need to emotionally prepare yourself. Of course, you have to prepare yourself physically as well. Physically, you need to find an office, find a place where you would work, find the kind of resources you need. If you're in employment, if you have to find a job. So no matter what kind of perspective you're looking at, I feel that we all go through the same kind of issues. Okay. Then if you are in the base camp, you know what happens. First day, by the way, I have not been to the Himalaya base camp, but I have been to another mountaineering expedition where it was like a mini base camp, if you will. So first day when you land there, the coach or the captain, he will tell you to put your tents and, sharing of the tents, and they will allow you to relax. They say tomorrow morning or late in the evening, I will talk to you. And what is the first thing he tells us? He tells us the route we will take to go to the top of the mount. He will say that though it appears to be a straight walk up, often it is not. You have to take a detour because there are obstacles on the way, there are crevices, there are holes, there are holes in the structure. So he will actually tell you what is the route you will need to take. Similarly, if you were in my kind of medical condition, that's what I learned. There has to be a treatment plan. So they will tell you, first we will do this treatment, which is, in my case, it was the surgery. Then it will be followed by chemotherapy. Then we will do radiation. Then we will come back to chemotherapy, this kind of thing. So they will actually tell you what is the treatment plan. And therefore, you will also have to find your support team. In my case, my support team were my parents. And you also have to think about contingencies. What happens if? What happens if I don't make it? What happens if I have other issues? Okay. So yes, you have to plan for your contingencies. Take the same parallel into, let us say you're starting your own business, your own practice. What is the plan you have for your business? Are you going to do this kind of practice or another kind of practice? Who's going to be in a part of your team? What happens if you are not able to succeed in this kind of practice? Are you going to change your venue? Are you going to change the kind of practice you do? So these are the contingencies which you need to build. So you will see, as we go along, I keep talking about these three pillars. The truth is, it doesn't matter whether it is a health problem, whether it is a mountaineering problem, or whether it is a business problem. I think it's all the same. In the sense, the lessons to be learned are the same. If you're in at the mountaineering section, you will be gearing up. You'll be asked to gear up. When they say gear up, you must be aware of what you need to take. Do you need a jacket? Do you need a rainproof jacket? Of course, you need a helmet. Of course, you need the pinions. Of course, you need the rope. Then, do you need knee guards? Do you need extra pair of socks? Do you need gloves? All this. So these are gears. So these are the things which are necessary for you to go up the mountain. Whereas if we like, building your mental and physical strength, these, according to me, were my gear up. I had to build my mental strength. It is, believe me, for all human beings, it is so easy to say, I'll curl up and die. That's the easiest thing to do. I'll curl up and die. It's end of story. If God has given me this problem, maybe He wants me to, all kinds of drama will come out. So you have to build your mental strength and you have to build your physical strength to be able to address this kind of climbing or this kind of Everest. The Everest is a physical structure. Overcoming a health challenge is a mental structure. And overcoming a business problem is another structure. And the reason why I'm saying this is I come from an entrepreneurial background. Of course, I have been in practice before. I have been in employment before. So I've kind of seen all the different areas of what chartered accountants do or what human beings would like to do. And whether it is part of my nature or what, I have been trying to study human behavior at different points in time. So this is typically where we started. Now I will talk about navigating the terrain. For those of you who have been to the Himalayas or any mountain range, if you ask me, the terrain is, from far away, it looks lovely. I'm sure there is nobody in this world who looks at the Himalayas and is not awestruck by it. If you look at the Western Ghats, you wonder at the greenery. If you look at the Eastern Ghats, you are mesmerized by the kind of terrain it is. But when you go closer, you realize it is not just snow. It is not the soft, fluffy snow that you expect or the lovely green grass which is there on the Western Ghats. The terrain is very formidable. And you understand that only when you go there. So my first part of the terrain was the surgery, which was the crucial pitch. For those of you who may not be aware, cancer has got only one treatment, and that is surgery. Surgery is the treatment. Chemotherapy, radiation therapy, other kinds of therapy, they are adjuvant treatment. Adjuvant meaning additional. So if there is a tumor, if there is something which has grown beyond what it should, and it is in your body, and it is pushing aside other more important organs, the first thing you do is cut it out. So treatment is done. So surgery is the treatment for cancer, most cancers. Of course, with the exception of blood cancer, but most organs cancers are treated with surgery. It is the crucial pitch. The surgery, I know people will laugh at me, but surgery is the easiest of all the treatments because it is very contained. It is very predictable, especially if you go to a good doctor. Most of the time, surgery is very contained. They'll know what organ they are attacking, what piece they have to take out. They will close it, come out, life is done. You will recover. The recovery period is also very known. So they will tell you it will take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. So in surgery, actually, it is one of the easier things. Now, let us draw a parallel in the business. Sometimes You have to surgically remove certain things, certain people, certain ideas. It is the treatment. Sometimes we all, me especially, have been greatly guilty of this. Somebody I know is not a good fit. We should ask that person to leave. Not because he or she is a bad person. He or she is not a good fit, is not required in this organization. Maybe he or she will serve a good purpose somewhere else. But the ability to recognize this and remove it, that is the key. Chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is the real beast. What is chemotherapy? It is injecting drugs into your body to kill off various cancer cells. Now, what is cancer? Cancer is basically a very simple disease. It is a set of cells which are multiplying without stopping. Most cells multiply, stop, die, and then come back again. That is how our body grows. But there are certain rogue cells which continue to multiply, and as they multiply, they form a tumor or a mass. Surgery removes that. So, end of treatment. But many times, because the cells are so all pervading in our body, they go to various other parts of the body. So, the chemotherapy is given so that chemotherapy is a drug which has been told you go and kill all cells which multiply more than normal. You just go and kill them all off. So that's what the chemotherapy drug does. Goes into our body, kills off all those cells which multiply fast. In the process, it also kills some healthy cells which create hair. Whether we understand it or not, believe it or not, most of our hair has fallen out and new hair has come. It takes a cycle of about 21 days for a new piece of hair or new strand of hair to come. So what has happened now? Chemotherapy drug is in your body. It's killing everything. So your hair is dying and new hair is not coming. So therefore you are growing bald. When we talk about hair on the head, especially for women, it is a very touchy subject. Women may cut their hair. That's a different thing. They may cut it short like I have. Some people like it long. But to have no hair is not an option for women. To have short hair is an option. But chemotherapy attacks hair, which is a very, very painful portion for most women. Time permitting, I would like to later share with you some anecdotes about loss of hair, which can be very interesting. I know people will smirk at me saying, how can hair loss be interesting? But I'll share with you some of my personal stories about that. So chemotherapy is a set of, gives you a set of side effects. In my case, exactly what happened was if there are 8 side effects listed in the books, I would have 10. So it was a constant battle. Yes, it was tough. I don't intend to sugarcoat that. Then there comes the radiation. Radiation is another adjuvant treatment, additional treatment. It is targeted at a set of cells in the area where the tumor has been removed, in the belief that while they did the surgery, maybe some cells were left behind. So let us radiate it and kill them. So it is very targeted. Now I'm building the parallel in case of mountaineering. Mountaineering has targeted climbing techniques. In certain cases, you will use a ladder. In certain cases, you will use the pinion. In certain cases, you will have to tie a rope for all the people in the group, and each one step will be followed by steps for all the people. So if one person falls, all the others can hold them up. So there are different climbing techniques. So radiation is another technique of fighting the disease. But if you build a parallel in the business world, We all need to use different techniques to grow. Sometimes we may choose to have larger number of, should I say, clients, or sometimes we will say for the same client, we'll do different kinds of services. One client, five kinds of services, 10 clients, two kinds of services. It depends. So these are the techniques we use. So these are climbing techniques, because finally, all business people or anyone who is doing any enterprise at any level is planning to grow. Everyone wants to grow. Even people who are doing charity, initially they may be doing it for a small group of people, then they want to grow. Growth is an inherent thing, and growth is what keeps us alive. Then we talk of adaptability. If you're going in the terrain, if you are climbing a mountain, you have to be very adaptable. So, for example, in the group in which we went, there were two people who loved to be by themselves, very quiet, stuck to themselves, did not talk to anybody, and they would rather be, going by themselves. But we all must understand mountaineering is not something you do alone. You have to do it in a team. So you have to be adaptable. Sometimes you will need to lead, sometimes you will need to follow, sometimes you will need to share, sometimes you will need to just keep quiet. So adaptability is a part of mountaineering. Without adaptability, you really can't succeed. In the kind of medical, should I say, obstacles I went through, adjusting to changing conditions was a big challenge for me. I have been a person who's got 10 fingers in 20 pies. I was doing 500 things at the same time. So I had to change and I had to become adaptable, because now my conditions had changed. I would go for chemotherapy, come back to work office, sit and work for 2 or 3 hours, and then go back home. So I was adjusting to this. So earlier I used to work 12 hours, 16 hours a day. I mean, I was very fond of working because I enjoyed my job. When I was an entrepreneur, I used to enjoy because I wanted to do it. I wanted to do certain things. But now I realized I had to be very adaptable by changing, to accept that these changed conditions require a different kind of a presence. Okay, now let's understand. Till now, I'm sure many of you have been thinking a lot if you've been listening to me. Does anybody have any questions? Priyanshu, do you think people have any questions they'd like to pose me? Priyanshu? Is there anybody who would like to unmute and tell me something that this is okay, not okay?
Priyanshu,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
is there any question she's asking?
Yeah. Sorry.
Every 20, 30 minutes you should.
Yeah. Sure. There are some of the questions. What
Yeah.
inner voice or belief pushed you to chase your Everest when it seems impossible?
Yeah. Very nice question. My inner voice.
Hmm.
This is asking me to be very confessional, and this is my answer. My first voice, like I shared, was let's curl up and die. End of story. My son was nearly in the 10th standard. My I didn't have any other responsibilities, so to speak. I just wanted to die. But there was an inner voice within me which said, I have to climb this Everest. Why? Like I told you, my older sister, 3 years older to me, she had died. And I had seen my parents cry. Believe me, it hurts today to think of that. And somehow my inner voice used to tell me, your parents should not cry because of you. That was the one and only reason I just had to climb this Everest. I don't know how much it will resonate with you, but that is the real truth. My inner voice told me I can't let by the way, I used to be very close to my father. Everyone used to tease me as daddy's girl. I had seen my father sob when he lost his firstborn child. And I was determined that no matter what, I'm willing to go through hell, but I will not see tears in my father's eyes again. That was my inner voice. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Can you share a moment when the small step forward felt like a biggest victory?
Yes. The small step forward was when I was undergoing treatment in the hospital. I was having chemotherapy, so they had stuck that needle into my arm, and okay, what do? They give you the saline. So what? I mean, you don't really need to do anything. And me being me could not lie down there because in just the next bed, there was a young child, a 14, 15-year-old, who was also suffering from cancer. And that child was crying that he was hungry, but mother couldn't feed him anything because he couldn't eat. So with my trolley of the saline, I went and spoke to him. He said, my mouth is full of ulcers, but I'm so frightfully hungry. I want to eat. And my mother's not giving me anything. The mother can't feed him because the food which she had some very little spice in it. And because the child had a cold or something, she did not give anything cold. And the poor child was hungry, only 14 years old. Okay, what was it? Why was it a first step for me? It was the first time I spoke to another cancer survivor. And somehow it resonated with me saying, yes. And the child stopped crying. And then I managed to get a glass of buttermilk, which my mother had bought for me, and gave it to him. And he drank it and he felt, okay, now my hunger is gone. He smiled. Somehow at that moment, I felt this is my first step to overcoming my problem, which is that if you help somebody else, during that time, you're not thinking of yourself. You're thinking of that person. And that helped me. So it was for me a big step, even though it was actually a very small one. After all, what did I do? I went and comforted that child.
Yes, sir. There is one more question. What's one mindset shift that changed the tragedy of your journey?
The mindset is very simple. The decision to stay alive and not just survive. The discussions with my doctor were very profound, very targeted. He said, no, you will come through this. And I would argue with him. Dr. Shekhar Patel, possibly one of the best medical oncologists we have in Asia. He would say, madam, you'll come through it. I said, I don't want to come through it. How do I become stronger? How do I do something about it? Then he told me one thing. If you have been through hell, you have a tale to tell. What a wonderful thing he said. That set me off to write the book. If you have been through hell, you have a tale to tell. And that's why I told my tale. And my tale was cancer, a comma, not a full stop. So those kind of things actually make you want to survive. So I didn't want to just survive or exist. I wanted to win. And that's why, for me, it was very, very crucial. No, I know I'm giving you examples only from my experience in my medical condition. I do have so many examples, even in my professional world. But my professional world is very different in the sense it may be something you are already familiar with. You've all been an entrepreneur or a person in practice or something. So I'm not sharing those stories yet.
That's all for now, ma'am. You can.
Yeah. So let's now move to the more interesting bits, if you will. Overcoming obstacles. Of course, we have obstacles. Everyone has obstacles. Even when we are going through treatment, even when you're taking this treatment at a very specialized hospital, even when you know that you have the best doctors on your side, there will be obstacles. When you're going mountaineering, there will be crevices and cracks. Having had some kind of experience,
the reason is that
I have seen these crevices and cracks stretch meters across. So we've had to keep a
let's have it on
ladder and climb across.
So if you can
So we've done, I've done that. These are the obstacles because that at that time the captain of our group said that when you go to the Himalayas, even further up, there the cracks are very small.
Yeah,
But if you
so
put your
anything
feet
which you
on
think
that,
is useful for
it's
them,
going
that
to
also you can
cracks
say.
and come down. The whole
Something additional to
portion
what
of that
they
mountain
ask.
can come down.
So mine is only
So
whatever
these
I
are
think.
very serious obstacles. So there will be crevices and cracks when you are looking at mountaineering as one of the aspects.
Bangalore should have been first actually.
When you are,
I don't know how these people missed out. Because Bangalore is the biggest GCC in India. Yeah. Anyway, it's okay. Awesome.
okay.
So,
When
Tech team, can you please mute Madhukar, sir?
some
can we mute?
sponsorships
Okay.
for the entire GCC.
So what are the obstacles when you are having treatment? They are, of course, your side effects. What are the side effects? There are many side effects. Most cancer treatments have side effects. Primary among them is nausea.
Some stalls
Though vomiting nowadays is almost stopped because we have good medicines to manage that. There's nausea. Then there is either loose motion or constipation or some kind of a gut problem.
What do you think should be?
There is mouth ulcers. There is obviously loss of hair, which can be very traumatic, both to men and to women. Now, when we say loss of hair, of course, we are thinking of hair on our head. But have you, think about it. I was really surprised when I realized it. You don't have hair on your head, bald as an egg.
Please.
You have no
you don't share.
eyebrows. You have no eyelashes. When you look in
other than that, you share everything because they have come on the
mirror. Can we mute someone who's talking? I don't know who it is. Okay. So you're looking in the mirror, you see a blob of flesh with 2 buttons for eyes. That is what you see. It kills your self-esteem. It is not about how good looking or otherwise you are. It is about what you have become. So it is a big obstacle. These kind of obstacles are many. You've lost hair, you feel ugly to go out, but you're not so ill that you can't go out. Otherwise, you stay at home and feel self-pity. You will drown in self-pity. You will have, violins playing all around you, saying, oh, how sad you are, and things like that. So you can't stay home. You can't go out. Yeah, you have all kinds of problems. So let me share with you one funny story about managing these side effects, especially hair loss. I'd lost my hair. I was bald as an egg. My younger sister, she was coming to visit me from the US with 2 of her children. my nieces. One was 11, the other was 7, and she wanted to come and see me while I was having my treatment. So she comes, and I think she had told the children, don't, make fun of Dodoma because she has no hair. Okay, so you behave yourself. She'd kind of sensitized them. They came home. When they came home, I was wearing a wig. So they were whispering to each other, Dodoma has hair, Rupa has hair. So I heard it, but I didn't pay much attention. And then at night, of course, we all went to bed. And they, because of the jet lag, were unable to sleep. So two young girls, one 11, one 7, decided to come and knock on my door. And at night, I had taken off my wig and had gone to bed. They knocked on my door and I said, come in. And they came in and they saw me without any hair. And they burst out laughing, saying, of course, Amma was right. She doesn't have any hair. And they were so thrilled that what they thought has come true. And they laughed so much about it that even I began to laugh. And then they had bought these lovely markers from the US and they wrote some funny faces on my bald head. And they said, don't wear a wig. This all looks nice and makes people laugh. Why am I sharing this? Because this traumatic active action of losing hair is now remembered by me more as fun. It is now funny for me. Every time I think about, bald heads, I smile to myself. Say how funny it was when my nieces had come. This is the way you can manage your side effects. Bring humor, bring perspective, change perspectives. Now let's look at business. Of course, there will be obstacles in business, and that obviously is nothing to write home about. But sometimes these obstacles can be very, very serious, especially in India, where we as a company wanted to have to not bribe anybody for anything which we were rightfully entitled to. It was a challenge. And my co-directors were two English gentlemen. And though we believe that, Westerners are very anti-corruption, they were the ones who were saying, no, no, Rupa, let's pay some speed money and get it done. Let's do something and get it done. So these were the obstacles which I had to overcome. I tried most of the time to be able to overcome those kind of obstacles by putting in a good word from somebody, someone saying something, saying, let this one pass. So yes, there are obstacles and there are many, many ways to overcome that. But life is full of obstacles, whether it is business, whether it is your personal life, whether it is your health, whether it is mountaineering, everywhere you will find the same things. Then we come to these steep slopes. Obviously, mountains are full of steep slopes and great ravines. The ravines are so deep, if you drop a stone, you can't hear it reach the end. And you constantly have this image of you hurtling down that. So yes, steep slopes are a big fear factor. And they are true in the mountaineering domain, if you will. In the medical side, there are emotional ups and downs. You will be taking your medicine, then they will do a test, but the test don't show the results you expect. So then you feel really down, saying, what is the use of doing all this treatment, all this suffering, all this whatever? Why should I go through this? I don't want to do it anymore. Let's close this. Let me live my last few days in whatever, the standard the drama will have. So there are emotional ups and downs. At the ups, there are, of course, ups. When you expect that your blood count will be low, suddenly you find that your HB is very high and they are willing to continue with the treatment. You may be feeling low. So there are ups and downs. And this is a fact of especially cancer treatment. Also in liver health, there is this emotional up and down, because the drugs which they give you also causes depression. So if you are a caregiver, my advice to you, my appeal to you is to understand, if any of your family member is going through cancer or liver health problems or any other serious illness, sometimes the drugs which are prescribed causes depression, clinical depression. And it is the caregiver who has to be extraordinary to understand that and still continue with good care. It is short lived, but it is there. And it is not because of the person, it is because of what you're putting into the person in terms of drugs. So, emotional ups and downs will be there in case of business, it will be there in case of your health, it will be there in case of mountaineering, if you will go there. Finding handholds. For those of you who've been out on a mountaineering trip, you will find that when you go on the trip, you will be asked to find a little hole where you can put your finger to pull yourself up. Okay, a small foothold where barely your toe will go. You have to find those handholds to be able to pull yourself up. This is true in mountaineering. Not everywhere you can put a rope and pull yourself up. Sometimes, especially on flat surfaces, flat and steep surfaces, you will need to use handholds to practically crawl up the surface. In the case of health, you need a support system. Support system would be your parents, your caregivers at home. Your coping mechanisms. What are your coping mechanisms? I had many coping mechanisms. One of my coping mechanism was that my friend had given me a task. Every day, you must call 2 people on your address book and speak to them without mentioning your disease. This was the task. This is a mechanism to cope. So at least 10 to 15 minutes I would spend talking to someone without speaking about my ayo papa, poor me kind of syndrome. It made me feel in control. It made me feel that yes, there's something in the world which is outside of my disease. There is something to look forward to. And therefore, you will create your inner strength. I have faced this in business also. In business, we as a company were after a very large project, we spent one entire year slaving for the project. We almost signed it. We split the champagne. And the next day, we got a notice that the project has gone to the Prime Minister's brother-in-law. Honestly, it was not a great thing. So it wasn't, it was a big thing for us. But what was a coping mechanism? Our coping mechanism was to find out how we could now work with that brother-in-law, whether he would outsource work to us. Now we would not be the project owner of the project, we would be a outsourced vendor. But that was our coping mechanism because we had spent so much of time and effort and energy on that. So I can give you so many examples of in the business also how we cope with whatever troubles we come up with. But most crucial, the thing which you need to underline is your inner strength. It has to come from within. Okay. And I will continue to emphasize on that particular aspect. The next aspect I'd like to talk about is perseverance, to stay at it. If you climb a mountain, nobody's going to give you a pot of gold. Nobody's going to give you a medal also, because most of us are not competing for that. Why should you climb that mountain? Why should you persevere? Because when you persevere and reach the top, reaching the top is your prize. Until we understand that, we will not understand the true value of doing things in life. Similarly, even for health, pushing through the toughest stretches. There are days when you're taking treatment, when opening your eyes is exercise. Opening your eyes. You are so down, so out. Your fatigue is incredible. You can't eat, drink, you can't sleep. You just are there. That's all. There are some times when you pass through that. Even in business, not everyone gets an award for doing great business. Best businessman award doesn't go to everyone. Yet they persevere. Why? Because when they achieve the next goal, when you achieve your next customer, when you get your new client for your new service, that is reward. And that is what keeps us going. So when you persevere to stay, and here again, you will not, I hope you will not mind. I'm again sharing something very personal with you. Recently, I went through a liver transplant. So why, as soon as the surgery was done on the sixth day, the pain was so bad that I took out my phone, which had been sanitized multiple times and all that, and I recorded messages to my family saying, I'm leaving you. I can't take this pain. Please, God, take me. And then I wrote I recorded one message to the doctor saying, please give me morphine, overdose me on morphine. I don't want to live. I've been there. I did not send these messages. I recorded them. Before I could send them, the nurse, she came in and she said, what are you doing? Why are you crying? Why are you using your phone in the night? And somehow that moment passed, and then I did not. And then the doctors came in and I spoke to them, and they found another way for me to reduce pain. So when you push through these tough stretches, it really changes your perspective. That I think that one night after my liver transplant, I truly decided I will live and I will live well. So yeah, perseverance is a very big thing. Even in business, it is a very big thing. Like I mentioned earlier, humor is a big thing. Humor in when you go mountaineering, it is what keeps you going. Otherwise, like I told you, there is no prize, there is no award. Why bother? Sometimes you think you are walking and walking for hours together and hardly have crossed a kilometer. That's what happens when you walk on certain kind of terrain. At that time, jokes shared by your teammates, that is what keeps you going. You make fun of each other, and that's what pushes you to take the next step. Humor is important when you're doing tough tasks. It is not trivializing what you're doing, it is not bringing down the value of what you're doing. Humor is, I believe, the real medicine which pushes your adrenaline to keep going. Similarly, even when you are undergoing a health issue, it is your life saving jacket. If you have humor on your side, that is what will make it further livable. Like one of my, should I say, co survivors, she is also an IAS officer who had the same disease. And she was very distraught. She had lost all her hair and she was very upset. Her daughter came and she made a nice big show. She invited all her friends and she made like a party. And then she gave her mother an award. An award, no ball prize, no hair prize, bal as in Hindi. But she made it sound like a Nobel Prize, and we all burst out laughing because she was just about 10 years old and she'd made this whole thing. And somehow humor made it lighter. Failure in business also. Learn to laugh about it. Learn to to understand that sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to. You didn't get the client you wanted, you didn't get the project you wanted. It will happen. But humor can be your life saving jacket. You can laugh about it and find another way to do it. Now we talk about reaching the summit. Reaching the summit sounds so exciting. But when do you reach the summit? I really want to ask all the mountaineers in this group, when do you reach the summit? Is it at really the top of the peak? You'll stand at the peak and then you think you have reached. Yes, that is one way of looking at reaching the summit. But the day when you realize that you have gone beyond your strength, that is when you have reached the summit. And for each of us, you will know, hand on your heart, that time will come. Okay. Treatment is completed. You feel, oh, okay, now treatment is over. I'm done. It's a very empty kind of feeling. Somehow feel you've done everything. Now there's nothing more to do. You've exhausted, you've finished. It's a very hollow kind of a feeling. And we felt this feeling when, for various reasons, I had to close down my business. We hived off the business, and there was nothing. And then I handed over the keys to someone. Paperwork was done, checks exchanged, and somehow I felt very hollow. It seemed good because the deal was good. I sold my company at a profit. But somehow I felt empty. It sounds strange, but I don't know how many of you will understand this, but that's what I felt. Okay. So, of course, the view is very panoramic when you're looking from the top. It's a great view. It shows you how far you have come, how much you have climbed. And it's a great feeling. It's a great view to see. You feel very happy. And you don't at that time think, oh, there in that place I was about to give up. In that place I slipped and fell. You don't really think things like that. You look at it and you're just taking it. Similarly, after you finish treatment, you have a new perspective. You start looking at the world in a different perspective. And this can be a little dangerous. What do I mean by dangerous? There you are, finished your treatment, you're quite okay, you feel you have the energy to now tackle the world, and you look at people doing, indulging in things like some small jealousy, or she told me this, she didn't invite me to her party first, she invited me but she didn't invite me first, she walked into the room first, she didn't talk to me. Small things. Then you think, why are people being so small? Why? Because I have seen the bigger picture. I've had a panoramic view of all things beautiful. And my new perspective is life is bigger than all these good small things. These things don't matter. And sometimes you feel everybody is beneath you, but you're very happy. You feel that you have done something and you are become a different person. Then you celebrate the achievement. Like when you climb on the top, of course, at the top, you really can't celebrate. There's really no time for celebration. But yes, you celebrate achievement. The achievement of having gone to the top. You come down a little and in a slightly better environment, you will celebrate the achievement. What will you will at that time think, oh God, I've achieved it. I wanted to and I've achieved it. and you feel very thrilled with yourself. And somehow you feel proud of what you have achieved. I have achieved. And that feeling of pride is so important. That's what makes people tick. There is relief once you finish your treatment, there is joy, and there is there's a good feeling which you feel. Appreciation. You appreciate. You begin to appreciate all the people in your life. You appreciate the caregivers, your family, your doctors, your nurses. You learn to appreciate. Achievement, if it is not supported by appreciation, it is empty. Think about it. At work, do we really appreciate the people who work for us, who work with us? Not enough. Let us say you got a new project. You, of course, celebrating. You did all the hard work, but others also did the hard work. Do we appreciate enough? When you appreciate others, magic happens. And I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. When you appreciate, like for example, when you think that the doctor did his job, the nurses did their job, they're being paid for it. What's to appreciate? Remember, the doctor was supposed to do his job, which was to treat you. He didn't have to be kind to you, but he was. The nurses, they were paid to do the job, but they didn't have to smile at you. They didn't have to pat your back, but they did. Don't they deserve this appreciation? And when you appreciate people, you will find that you enjoy the achievement even more. So, this is very crucial. Reflecting on the journey. Then you have to sit and reflect on the journey. This is the nicest part of any achievement. I'm sure all of you will agree. Those of you who are chartered accountants, all of you who are chartered accountants, when you passed your exam, you got your result, you would sit and think about what I have achieved, right? It is a very precious degree. It is precious both because it is a very valuable one, two, because it is considered to be very tough, three, because society looks upon it in a very nice way. People's eyebrows go up when you say you are a chartered accountant. Oh, you're a chartered accountant. The voice changes. And that is paisa vasool for all of us. That makes being a chartered accountant, struggling to be a chartered accountant, struggling to be in practice and doing well in practice, struggling to get a job and doing well in the job, all that, it becomes worthwhile. Similarly, lessons learned and growth. So you will, after your treatment, like any physical illness, what are the lessons you learned? I learned many lessons, and I'll talk about it in the next slide. I learned many lessons, certain lessons which I had taken for granted. I had assumed certain things. I had assumed that certain of my relatives will not be willing to visit me. I had assumed that certain people will be feeling very bad because of me. Both were not true. I learned who were my friends. I learned how friends can help. Because as you know, when you are undergoing chemotherapy, the doctors tell you that you are very prone to infections. So don't have any friends or relatives come over. So you're supposed to be by yourself as much as possible to avoid the risk of infection. So when you're going through chemotherapy, there are no guests, there are no friends. But in spite of that, there are some friends who stand by you, not by coming to your home, by calling you, by asking you, by sharing with you, by giving you small goals. I remember when I was undergoing chemotherapy and just finished chemotherapy and waiting for my radiation treatment to start, some of my friends in Rotary, they said, we'll put up a show and you will be the star performer. I said, I can hardly walk. He says, even walking for you is a performance. And I managed to give a solo dance performance. I'm not saying it was the greatest dance. I'm not even saying that I am one of the best. I'm saying it helped me to look back on that journey with so much of joy. And it was a lesson that I should behave the same way with anybody else who needs that kind of care. And so I believe I have grown. I have grown as an individual. And any issue, any health problem should make you grow. Any climbing summit should make you grow. Any business summit should make you grow. That is when there is value in what you have done. Sorry if I'm sounding very preachy, but I am actually living this. In the sense, I have been through this, and I'm not talking from any notes. Whenever I see this statement, it just is more cathartic. I'm talking about my experience. Do we have any questions so far, Priyanshu?
No questions, ma'am, right now.
Okay.
I'll be sharing it 5-10 minutes max. Yeah.
Okay. So if you will permit,
Rupa,
yeah,
if you don't mind,
yeah,
I thought that I'll also chip in something.
sure.
So I've been listening to your climbing of the Everest. Some things which you talked about building mental strength. I think this is so important for us at various points of time. Any successful person would have gone through this process of mental strength. And in this particular webinar series, we have had people who came and shared so many things. And I thought I could just take 2 minutes to look at what they said and how it relates to your inspiring story. So we have, finding your purpose was one of the webinars.
Mm.
And when you supported that 14-year-old child, you didn't help the child.
Yeah.
Though he managed to drink the buttermilk and he felt nice and he smiled, he was out of his misery for a short time. But he gave you a bigger purpose in life.
True.
So finding your purpose was one of the webinars. If I look at, you're overcoming both cancer as well as the liver transplant, it was a journey of mastery. So we have a session on that. While doing so many things, you have been an epitome of service before self, much before your cancer also, because I knew you then.
Yeah.
And in spite of going through all this, you're a very grateful human being, even today. And that was also one of the sessions which was taken. There was one session taken up by one of the good speakers, chartered accountants, on never giving up, being a net giver from consumer to contributor. And the first session, of course, started with honesty and integrity being a wonderful value for chartered accountants. And if I look at you, the fact, that you had that incidents of bribe, going through it in spite of the difficulty, not succumbing to it. So if I look at it, all the sessions till now, you have something in your life to prove it. So I thought I would just make that observation and allow you to continue.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, it is so very true. So I'm glad that it all resonates with the same mindset.
Just one question I have received. ma'am.
Ah.
As a sole proprietor, if I am clocking annual revenue of 12 lakhs with uh, retainership of 6 lakhs from the biggest client,
Mm.
Would you say I have crossed the initial challenging phase of setting up soul practice?
Okay. Let me answer that.
Mhm.
I don't believe that one should sugarcoat, and one can only give you an answer based on my experience. I told you earlier that my business had failed. Why did it fail? I know it's not a very proud thing to say.
Mhm.
Everyone wants to say that one is a very successful business person. We were successful for some time, then later we were unsuccessful. The reason for our lack of success or our failure, we had very few clients. We had four clients with nearly $1 million billing, and we rested. So I strongly believe that spread of number of clients is very important, even if the revenue from each may be less. There is great strength in numbers. So now that you are saying that you have one client who's giving you a chunk of the business, there's another who's on a retainer. Is that is that a way to measure your initial overcoming of obstacles? I wouldn't think so. This is my opinion. I could be terribly wrong, but my view is that once you have spread yourself such that the risk is mitigated, then I think you would have overcome some of the initial obstacles. This is my view. I'm sure there may be more than one opinion about this. I hope I have answered your question to some degree. Now,
Okay, ma'am.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one more question. How do you cultivate resilience with dealing with demanding clients, deadlines, or regulatory challenges?
How do you create resilience? You have to be resilient.
Mhm.
You have to keep on doing the same thing, maybe in a different way. Learning, I was just going to come to that. We have to learn, and our, as chartered accountants, I feel our lack of networking is our biggest drawback, both within our profession and outside our profession. First, let's tackle the within the profession. We do not share our problems with our peers in any meaningful manner. We want to appear very smart, very capable, very whatever. And because of that, because we don't share, we don't get to know what are the other perspectives, what are the other techniques, what are the other ways in which we could address some of these kind of sticky clients. So, networking with peers will certainly help many of our problems. This is what I think is very important. And when I was in practice, I found it was a practice not to share amongst peers. This can be very disturbing. I tried to bring a parallel by observing some of the doctors. I found that in amongst doctors who are supposedly more competitive, they actually talk to each other. They say that I have this patient who's not doing this, who has this kind of problem. I wonder how I should treat him. They actually share this, whereas we don't. And I think networking with peers will give us answers to some of our sticky questions, like sticky clients, like regulatory compliances, like automate. Maybe there is some person who has automated a portion. Maybe that person is willing to share. We don't talk, so we don't know. I know I have not been in practice for very long, but even in the short time when I was, I thought networking was insufficient and I tried networking and it has benefited me. So maybe that's something you want to think about.
Okay, ma'am. And just one more. How can CAs transform fear of failure into a tool for growth and innovation?
I don't think it's about a chartered accountant, it's about a human being. How do you get yourself over the fear of failure? You just have to create. Fake it till you make it. It took me 2 years to accept that I was a failure when I closed my business. Believe me, I know today is confession day, whatever, though it's not a Sunday and I'm not in church. I'm confessing to you for the first 2 years, I was saying, no, no, our business was doing well, but I had to kind of, close it down because this happened and that happened. I was giving all kinds of answers. Then after 2 years, I realized this is really not helping me because I'm not comfortable when I give that answer. So then I started saying, sorry, but I closed my business because it wasn't doing well. I mean, this happened and therefore it wasn't doing too well. When you own up, the fear of failure goes away. Even today, see, my cancer can come back. It will be failure. My liver may just be rejected by my body. I could die. It is failure. But do I think about it? No. I refuse to think about it. So, fear of failure can be only overcome by not acknowledging it. Don't acknowledge that fear, or acknowledge it completely and say, it doesn't matter to me. Oh, I'm afraid. What will happen if I do this? Or what happens if this client doesn't pay? What if you are constantly allowing fear to rule your decisions, it will prevent you from taking the next leap of faith. Maximum, what will happen if you fail? What can happen if you fail in your profession? Honestly, nothing very serious. Let us say you are working very hard for a particular client and the client doesn't pay, or does the client doesn't do what you expect from them. You will not get fees. That's the worst can happen. Yes, you will struggle financially. So ensure that you spread your risks thin and accept that fear is inherent. It's okay. And you will find that once you accept it within your heart, it becomes so much more easier. I know it sounds like a lot of BS, but that is the truth. Fear can never go away unless you just accept it and say, okay, fine, it'll happen, it'll happen. Okay. Yeah. So let me continue with this. And I wanted to share with you one more. Those who know me will know that I'm a great storyteller. I love stories of life, stories of mythology, stories of people. So for me, stories are very important. Talking about resilience, the view from the top. When you look from the top, you see this panoramic view, you see the journey you have come through, and you understand that it was resilience, the unwillingness to give up, which is your climbing rope of life. Resilience. You keep trying and trying and trying. More than once, possibly in different ways, possibly with more information, possibly with different customers. Once you build this, then it becomes second habit. Okay. Teamwork. Never underestimate the power of a team, not of a common man, but of a team. Power of support and collaboration are incredible. As far as mountaineering is concerned, it is very obvious. No one person has made it to the top. They will go in teams. The teams may be small, but to summit a summit, you need to have a team. The teams will work in different areas. Someone will chart the route, someone will ensure that you have backup, someone will ensure that your supplies are packed. So, all this is what enables you to reach the top. Similarly, when you are undergoing some kind of a treatment like for cancer or something, support and collaboration extremely important. Similarly, in business, support, team, whether it is networking, whether it is within, whether it is from outside, these are the ones which actually help you to succeed. Strategic thinking. When you are looking at a mountain peak, you have to think strategically. Not what is the shortest way. Not which is the easiest way. What is the best way to get to the top? Similarly, in business, what is the best way to achieve my goal? Not that you should become a 500 crore company. Your goal would be something. You would have set yourself a goal. What is the best way to achieve that? Is it collaborating with somebody? Is it working with somebody? Is it working for somebody? Is it changing some tax? Is it some kind of a via media between what you're doing and what you want to do? So you have to do strategic thinking and you have to navigate the challenges. Challenges are there. Mountains challenges, business challenges, life's challenges, they are there. You cannot wish them away. Nobody had it easy. So this is one thing which you should really seriously think about. Are you thinking strategically? Are you thinking tactically? Many times I have found my co-chartered accountants thinking tactically and believing that it is strategic. Strategic thinking is at a higher level. It is not about what you will do tomorrow. It is not even about what you can do, what is physically possible for you to do. That is not strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is what I can do, what I should do to achieve what I want. Today I don't have that skill. Okay. But I want to achieve that. So therefore, what should I do? It is not about what I want to do charity. But today I have only 100 rupees. That is not strategic thinking. I want to do charity of 100 crores. How can I do charity of 100 crores? Today I have 100 rupees. Tomorrow, how do I make it grow such that I can do charity of 100 crores? That is strategic thinking. And strategic thinking doesn't happen when you are very busy. It happens when you sit down and think about it. And that is when you need a mentor. Find a mentor. We, as chartered accountants, have, at least I have found, maybe I haven't met enough people, but whenever I have spoken to chartered accountants, most of them say, I don't have a mentor. I haven't found a mentor. You have to search and find a mentor. What is a mentor? A mentor is someone who probably has walked that path or at least understands that path. He doesn't tell you what to think. He makes you think. Find such a mentor, talk to him or her about what you are thinking, use that guidance. That doesn't mean you have to do what that person says. It means that hand on your heart. Do you feel that it works for you? Do it. Till now, this is one big problem I have with all modern management thinkers. They say, let's think about it. Let your brain rule your heart. I feel your heart has all the answers, every single one of them. Hand on your heart. If you feel something is right, do it. If you feel it's not right, don't. You can build justification for either of those. So, think, by the way, this is a test. Do this at home. When you tell, I am very happy, what do you say? I am very happy. Do you hold your head in your hands? So that's where the brain is. No, you put your hand on your heart and say, I'm very happy. Because happiness comes from the heart. And that is the one and only goal everybody has. You, me, and everyone included. Leadership. Guiding yourself through the toughest climbs. You need leadership to climb a mountain. You need a coach, you need a guide, the one who will chart your route, the one who will look after you, who will give you guidance saying, okay, this is a tough climb. Pace yourself. Take 2 days for this stretch. For the other one, you can take only 1 day. This kind of leadership, this kind of advice. Similarly, when you are going through a tough patch, find a support. Like I did not have a support group, but I created a support group so that people after me, they will have a support group. Today, in the support group in which we work, if there is a new patient, new patients have lots of questions. Can I eat this? Can I do this? Can I go there? Can I wear these kind of clothes? Now, you can't ask the doctor everything. Who will you ask? You will ask another person who has gone through this. So we have created what is known as the Pink Hope Support Group. So we get questions, all kinds of questions. Questions which they can't ask the doctor because the doctor is too busy, or you feel it is such a simple question. How can you ask him? So you need leadership. You need a mentorship. You need a group or people who can guide you through the tough climb. Similarly, in business, you need someone to talk to, someone who will tell you, yeah, this is the maybe the right way to go, or maybe not the right way to go. Okay, so everyone needs to find a mentor. Now, before we go to the descent, I wanted to share with you one story, because I told you I love stories. When I was diagnosed with liver disease and they said liver transplant is the only way, by the way, liver transplant is a very complicated procedure. The success rate is not very high. The mortality is high. There are other complications and things like that. So I told the doctor, I am not going to go through a transplant. Why? I'm already old. Yeah, I've lived my life. I'm 52 years old. Why do I need to go through a transplant now? My son is supposedly settled. I've seen what I wanted to do. My bucket list is almost done. Why should I bother now? So I was having this argument with one of my friendly doctors, not my liver doctor, but a friendly doctor. He said, yes, Rupa, you are right. Why should you go through this treatment? So I was very surprised. I mean, how can a doctor say something like that? So he says, yeah, by the way, do you know how you will die? So I said, yeah, I mean, one day suddenly my liver will not work and so I will die. He said, no, have you heard of Prometheus dilemma? Apparently, there was a Greek god by name Prometheus. Now, Prometheus was a very good and saintly person. One day, all the Greek gods, they wanted to go out. So they gave fire to Prometheus to keep it safe and not give it to anybody. But Prometheus was a very nice guy, very kindly and generous person. So he shared the fire with an old man who was struggling to stay alive. When Zeus, the king of the gods, he and all the other gods came back, they found that this fire now has been shared with man. So they were very angry. So they said, we have to punish him. But they couldn't punish him because he was a nice man. So Zeus said, we will tie Prometheus to a cross. And he asked his vultures to eat his liver. Now, during the day, the vultures would eat his liver, but the next day, the liver would grow back. So again, the vultures would eat. So Prometheus was in horrible agony for a very, very long time. And the doctor said, this is what will happen to you, because people who have liver disease won't die suddenly. They will die, they will take a long time to die. You will have fluid in the belly, you will go back to the hospital, you will come back, you will have some infection, you will go back to hospital, you will keep on going back to the hospital 100,000 times, and then finally someday you will die. So you will suffer and suffer and suffer. So do you still want to suffer? That is when I decided that no, I'm going to have my surgery. What is the point I'm trying to make is, it's very important to have the right perspective when you start something or do something, whether it is in practice in business or whether it is, in your health, it's in mountaineering or anything. So it's very important that you have a good mentor who can give you good advice. Now let's talk about the descent. Returning to, obviously we all have to come back. So we have to come back to base camp. Okay. Adjusting. We have to adjust to the new normal. Now we have started to call this the new normal. After you have been through a very big disease, like maybe cancer or maybe liver, it takes a little while to adjust to the new normal. There are some changes you will need to make, both in terms of your diet, in terms of the kind of things you can do, in the way you are, your lifestyle will have to change. So you have to adjust. Both in business also, you once you have gone to a certain level, you will have to adjust. Staying vigilant, obviously, even while coming down from a mountain, you may fall and break your neck. There's no point in doing that. So you have to be very vigilant, you have to be very careful. Climbing up is tough, coming down is also tough. Similarly, you have to monitor your changes in your health, in the way your health is behaving going forward, because now the treatment is over, you're not actually taking any medicine, so things have changed. Okay, sharing the experience, this is where I think we as chartered accountants have not really done too well. We don't have enough experience sharing of a person in practice, of a person in industry, of a person. How many people come back and say, when I was in working with a large company, my experiences were so. Everyone talks nice and rosy. Of course, everything cannot be nice and rosy. Of course, there will be good things and there will be not so good things. Sharing experience is my way of talking about whatever we have. We have to inspire newcomers, inspire other climbers, inspire other startups, inspire other practicing chartered accountants. You have to inspire them. This is a job we have to do. There is no assignment of this role, but everyone, every single chartered accountant who is in practice must share his experience such that new chartered accountants are inspired to become good climbers. You have to apply these lessons. This is the toughest part. Whatever you learned when you go on the mountaineering trip, you have to come back and apply those lessons. You have to continue with teamwork. You have to continue to stay in touch. You have to continue to understand humor is very important. You have to continue to strategically plan. You have to apply these lessons. In my case, the way I applied these lessons was I wrote a book. I don't know how many of you can see it. This is the title of my book, Cancer, a comma, not a full stop. I don't know. Can you see it? I hope you can. No?
No, ma'am, we cannot see your.
Okay. Yeah, that's possibly because my screen is being shared, so it's
No,
unlikely that
it's
I'm
because
being.
of the background. It's because of the background which we are using.
Oh, okay. Sure. Never mind. Some other time I can possibly share it. So I wrote a book on cancer. I wrote a play on cancer. We showcased these plays, and we also got entry into the Limca Book of Records for the only play on cancer written, acted, directed by caregivers and survivors. This is my way of sharing with the world what will happen if you have cancer and how it is possible to overcome it. Why is cancer such a uh, dreaded subject? And my analysis is, what are the stories we have heard about cancer? Somebody had cancer, they died. That other person had cancer, they died. We saw in the movies, oh, that person had cancer, the hero had cancer, and he hid it from his heroine and he died. Death has been attached to cancer as if it were a twin. It is not so. Stories of people who have survived after cancer are very few. Only now they are coming out. So I feel that more and more people who have gone through the disease, whatever, whether it is cancer, whether it is liver, or whether it is something else, even a heart attack, they should start talking, saying, I felt this. This was the mistake which I had made earlier. I had these symptoms. I ignored them, and then I had this problem. Now I've recovered. The more recovery stories you share, the more other people will learn, and hopefully they'll have a better outcome. So we have to apply lessons, share lessons. So I'm coming to the very last of these slides, which is my conclusion slide. Summiting my Everest was for me overcoming breast cancer. It was overcoming my liver transplant challenge. The challenge with liver transplant, one more aspect is for the first 20 days and then for 3 months, you cannot meet anyone. That's when you understand how sad it is to be alone. Because of the fear of infection, only two people were allowed to visit me, my husband and my mother, because we lived in the same house. When the maid was coming to clean the house, I would go into a separate room. She would clean that and it would be aired. And after 10 minutes, I can go back to that room. When I was in hospital, my family could not come and visit me. They would have to wear sterile gowns, sterile mask, blah, blah, everything, and see me from the entrance of the room. That's it. I could wave to them and that's it. At that time, when you are down and out, you want someone to hug you. You want someone to say, no, it's going to be okay. Even that is not coming. So it is a very different kind of a challenge. So I've summited my Everest. I've overcome the cancer problem. I've overcome my liver transplant problem. And my key takeaways are resilience, that you have to be resilient, you have to keep at it, you have to persevere. And it is about teamwork. Without teamwork, you can't overcome any summit, whether the summit is real in terms of a mountain, whether it is emotional in terms of a health problem, whether it is professional in terms of a business or a practice. Without teamwork, you can't. Without strategy, you can't. If you don't know where you are going, you will go nowhere. If you don't know how you're going to get there, you will never get there. So all these are important and key takeaways for me. And I'm sure this will resonate with all of you. And I would like to give a message of hope. Yes, one might have gone through hell, but the hope is that you will become okay. And that is what keeps motivating you to continue to do all this. Okay, so I continue to share, I continue to talk, I continue to stage the plays on cancer. So we collect funds and give that to cancer charity. We do continuously so many things. Why? Because we want to give hope. And you meaning everyone who's listening to me, everyone who's on the other side of the screen, if you will, you can reach your summit too. And that summit doesn't have to be a health problem. It can be whatever problem. Your problem may be that you want to build your practice to a higher level. You want to get to a big firm. You want to be a bigger firm. You want to get bigger and better clients. All these are summits. So it is possible to reach every single summit with determination and support. And therefore, if you have any questions, I'm very happy to take them.
Yes, ma'am. There are 3 to 4 questions more.
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated when progress is invisible or slow?
Correct. I'm glad you asked this question because motivation is not a one time thing. That's why I think the series which we are having, this mindset series, thanks, Madhukar, for calling it that. Motivation is the fuel. Have you ever seen a car which runs forever and ever without fuel? There isn't one. It all needs. So, inspiration needs the fuel, which is motivation. And motivation is a fuel which you get by observing others, by sharing with others, and therefore they sharing with you, by talking, reading, learning. So constantly you have to keep. So you have to keep on adding that fuel to be motivated. It is very easy to be demotivated. 10 days you listen to the news, you will be very, very demotivated because Trump is doing all kinds of things, or our local ministers are doing all kinds of things, or everybody is being murdered in every other country. At this rate, anybody can get depressed. So to be motivated, you have to work hard. You have to find the right motivation, and enough is available. Read books. I used to read a lot of books. I would share with people. If you anything which you read, if you learn to take out the lesson from it, that is motivation. So according to me, that's where motivation comes from.
Okay, ma'am. How did you maintain hope when the journey seems longer or harder than imagined?
Well, you maintain hope because you want to do something. I'll tell you, when I had these diseases, both the first one and the second one, I told you I lost my older sister to cancer. And that time I remember thinking, why did I get this disease? I thought my challenge was done because God has already given something to our family. One daughter he has taken. He can't do that second. Lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. Then, when I began to think about why I have it, I came up with an answer. I'm not saying anybody gave me the answer. I came up with the answer that maybe there is a purpose. Maybe God or Almighty or God, nature, someone wants me to do something about it. And so when I was going through my cancer treatment, I was writing a journal. I mean, earlier also I was writing a journal. I kind of stopped it in midweek. But then I began to write the journal. And when I wrote someone suggested, why don't you write a book? So it was very easy for me to use the journal to know what are the milestones, what happened before and what happened after. So, yes, that is one thing I think is very, very crucial. So, if you if you feel that God has a purpose for me, you will find it. You will find it.
Okay, ma'am. Uh, just one last question. What is the one practical habit that helped you bridge your mindset gap?
Yes. I think I omitted saying that. I should have. Thanks for the reminder. There are 3 to 4 things one has to do. One is you have to do something about mental health, which is either you should do meditation or you should do some kind of chanting. Chanting is nothing but meditation in a different form. For those who can't sit quietly without their mind going off somewhere, chanting is possibly a better option. Whatever it is you choose to chant, it does not matter. But some kind of exercise for your mental health, which is chanting, meditation, then something for your physical health, whether it is yoga, whether it is exercise, whether it is swimming, something. You don't have to spend too much time because as we grow older, the need for our bodies for exercise is less. Let us not try to compete with a 20 or something. We cannot do the kind of push ups, at least I can't do the kind of push ups younger people do. I limit myself. I do some amount of walking, I do some amount of yoga, I do a little amount of meditation. There are different meditation techniques. I've tried cyclic meditation, which has really helped me. So these are the things I do both for my physical and mental health. And for my physical health, I ensure that I eat healthy. I have a calendar. I ensure that I have the right combination of protein and carbs and starch. And so I don't starve myself. I don't deny myself good food. I love good food. I love sweets. I love to eat out, all that. But I have learned that I pace myself. So I don't eat out more than once a week. I don't eat junk food, but I love pizza. So what do? I eat pizza once in 3 months, only one slice. Like this. I pace myself. And by doing these 3, 4 things, I ensure that I get good sleep, at least 6 to 7 hours a night. I ensure that I sleep. Is it easier for me because now I am kind of semi retired? Maybe. Maybe when I was working very hard, because I used to work 17 hours a day, at that time I messed my health, and maybe that's why I got all this. I don't know. Would I have got it even if otherwise? I don't know. But I have learned my lesson. And my lesson is that I do something for physical health, mental health, and what goes into my gut. that is the only few three things which I do actually.
Thank you, ma'am. Madhukar sir, do you have something to ask? Or you are muted. So you are muted.
Yeah. If you can make me host, I've got a small screen.
So I should stop
I think
sharing.
Rupa, you
Yeah,
need
I have to stop
to.
sharing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to stop sharing. Otherwise, I can't. Is my screen
Yeah,
visible?
it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, Thank you for that wonderful session, Rupa. And anyway, the thanks is going to be given by Priyanshu. But it was really nice for me.
Thank you.
Many of the things you are doing has a code with what I am also doing. I do Vipassana every day. I do gym every day. I have got a very bad back, 40 for 45 years of backache I have. My gut is still not all right, thanks to hostel days and all that. But like you said, I have disciplined myself. I love sweets and I used to eat sweets after every meal. Now I have sweets only on Sunday.
Mm.
So I still have it. I'm enjoying life fully. Vipassana is my meditation, and I do walking twice a day. I'm going to go right after this session. I'm going to go for my evening walk.
Mm.
So I think very important is reflection. I reflect on what is happening in the day. When I was younger, I never used to reflect, and for about 15, 16 years of practice, I was wondering why I'm not doing well. Just like that boy who said, I'm doing 12 lakhs I'm getting 12 lakhs, not doing enough. So I think you have given a lot of tips to that boy, and having a healthy lifestyle certainly is a good tip. And I thought that I will just touch on some of the things the CMP is doing,
Mm.
because this is a program of CMP. So a little of what is it that members can take from the CMP, because we are here to empower CAs in practice and also others. So we empower by giving knowledge, sharing knowledge, which Rupa was saying, insights. This is very important. Today, you get a lot of knowledge at the click of a button, but insights you won't get. That's what we give through our various workshops. Capacity building is our core. We have also decided to focus on values, because we have seen that all the successful people in this world, especially the professionals, whether they're doctors, whether they are chartered accountants, when I say successful, I mean respected and also monetarily comfortable, satisfied people, fulfilled people. They also need to have right attitude. Negative attitude does not help people. So we are sharing that also through this webinar. And the last question, which was asked by one of the participants on what type of habits, inculcating powerful habits is something very good. So if I were to look at, some of you may know it, some of you may not know it, chartered accountants watching, we have a small course, 4 days course, which is a residential course called Practice Ki Patshala. We are also looking at an English name for that, which is 4 day course, which is good for anybody who's losing traction. They feel that they have plateaued. They can go back here, and this workshop is also available residential in the Center of Excellences. So you may have to check out with the CMP committee when is the next workshop and where it is. If you want it, you can also ask your branch or region to have it, and I'm sure they'll be happy to do it. The second is pathway to practice, especially for the freshers who just get out of college. It's a 7 day workshop. Then we are looking at building essential skills, English and Excel. These are, of course, there in the ITT and later also. We have now got an English course for those people who are facing challenges in English. It's a British Council course. So it's a 90-day course, and it's at a very reasonable figure of 11,000-12,000. Then there is an Excel course, uh, a couple of Excel courses actually. Plus, good to have skills in this environment, which is Python, data analytics, robotic, uh, with Power BI. All these are available within your ITT itself, advanced ITT. We also have got a separate 2-day course for AI tools. And now for AI itself, Aura, there is a 2-day course for students. We are also looking at how the CMP can strengthen values attitudes through this particular webinar series. We are looking at future opportunities in India, in whether in the GCCs or in outsourcing. Outsourcing can be many ways. You can outsource to a shared service provider, or you can outsource directly abroad. So we have tried to see that we come up with some solution where how to get the work also is being managed. But for that, you'll have to do a bit of basic work. We are thinking of virtual CFO training, and this virtual CFO can provide can be in India or even for people abroad. Of course, for people abroad, the learning patterns could be much more. One low hanging fruit for all of us is that all of us, we are providing service to the MSMEs. So if we look at technology adoption for ourselves, number one, and then for our clients, then that could be a very good way to go forward. Lot of support is available in various committees. Taking advantage of emerging opportunities by way of customized workshop. See, nowadays the clients want one-stop service. They can't go to 10 consultants. So they would like to come to one person who can advise them fully. But it may not be possible. A few areas you might not have the competency. Why few? Many. But you can always network. The same skill which Rupa talked about, network with other people, no? Network with advocates, network with engineers. Right? You can do that also. We are looking in the CMP, we are looking at honing yourself. Very important. We are not trying to give you the fish. We are looking at teaching you to fish. And I think the focus from compliance to value added consulting is needed, and hopefully we will get you there in a couple of years, starting with every month we're having at least 5-6 workshops. So what is it that we have done till now? We have one proprietor to partnership secrets. Actually, I've taken this session. I think I had around 5,000 people in this particular session. How to attract clients? I think Guru Prasad from Bangalore had taken it. He also had around 2,500 people. Then we had communication for outsourcing, because this outsourcing has become a very big thing. We had a session and by the same person who's going to do the English, written English workshop for 2 days along with his team. And this mindset part of it, I'm not going to repeat, because when Rupa spoke, I was seeing that everywhere there was some part of this was talked about by Rupa. So thank you very much for coming here. Please share with your friends. That is a good program. But remember, no pain, no gain. Spend time, learn new skills, improve your values, improve your thought process, and of course, improve your knowledge and skills. Have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
Rupa, again. Handing it back to Priyanshu.
Thank you, sir. I would request all the participants to give their feedback. You can give your feedback and submit your feedback. There is a link given below your screen. You can click there. You can give your feedback towards, and you can also share the topics which have we can have for you. So I would request to please give your feedback also. And over to this webinar. Thank you, ma'am, for the deeply inspired session. Your words have reminded us that every challenge, no matter how steep, can be conquered with purpose, positivity, and persistence. On behalf of the Committee for Members in Practice, I extend a warm, heartfelt gratitude to Rupa Venkateshwar Madam and our Chairman C.A. Madhukar Narayan Hirgange sir, all our participants joining us virtually from across the country. Thank you for being a part of this inspiring journey. Let's continue to climb our Everest, one mindset shift at a time. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
20th, I think you have to tell them, no, that next week we won't have it
Yeah, next week we won't be having this webinar series. We'll be
due to
having it on 27th. So we'll soon come and we'll have this great webinar series with the new topics.
Diwali, right?
Yeah, due to
Yeah,
Diwali. Yeah,
mention them. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you,
much.
Priyanshu.
So
Bye.
Thank
much.
you.
Sir. Thank you.
Bye, Rupa.
Bye.